Today's podcast is brought to you by Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, well, let me explain. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free. It has creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor distributes your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many other platforms. You don't even have to think about it. You just load up your podcast, you drop it in, you tweak it, you add ads. You can make money from your podcast. There's no minimum listenership either. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Club Cool puts the podcast out on Anchor. So do all the other Wash Media podcasts. And we've done this from other platforms. Nothing is as seamless or pretty or easy or just, perfect for putting out a podcast. So check out Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to the club.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another edition of the Club Cool podcast. I am your host, Barrett Dudley, and I'm here in the Lodge, the Wash Media Studios. And after a longer hiatus than we usually like, we're back and it feels really good. And as a special treat after this couple week delay, I've got an awesome guest. Welcome back to the man, the legend, Pat Allen. You might know him better as DJ Boo Bear.
There it is.
He's the man behind one of our favorite brands here, Uniform LA. And he's back to talk shop. What's up, Pat? Glad to have you back.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Little disappointed that Beaumont's finest couldn't be with us today.
I know. Phil is he's a certified grind boy now, and he's out there he's slanging Jägermeister to all the bars that need it. He's got quotas to hit.
Bring back that Jägermeister wave, the Jaeger bomb.
That's he's been tasked with that. That's his mandate from Republic. They said, Jägermeister, the sales, they've been dipping for too long now. We got to get this stuff back up. Here's 18 cases of it. You gotta sell this stuff. 18 pallets, actually, I think it was.
They've got the right guy. Perfect guy for the job.
He is. He totally is. Welcome back to the podcast. Here's what happened. You saw that Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian announced that they were officially dating. You texted me. You were like, "Yo, we got to talk about this. Let me jump back on."
100%. I had no idea those two people were dating.
Now, what about Taylor Swift's Taylor's version of Red? Are you neck deep in that album? That's really what you want to talk about, right?
I'm very insular, Barrett. I learned most of my pop culture facts from listening to the pod.
You're telling me that you're not playing the 10-minute version of All Too Well at your DJ gig tonight?
I am now.
That's when you need like a break, when you need to go, brew some tea. That's what you do. You just put on the 10-minute All Too Well. I don't know what the venue or the gig is tonight. You're DJing tonight, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, but whatever it is, I can almost guarantee that putting on that song will be a hit.
All right. As soon as we get off, I'm downloading it first thing. It's good to have you back. There's this is obviously you were on a little over a year ago, and after you joined this podcast, I think your business really took off. So you're welcome for the business success that you've had over the last 12 months. It seems like Club Cool is due all of the credit. For sure. I appreciate y'all. Club Cool fam, I see you. I sent you over earlier today. Club Cool alum member.
Cole. Yeah.
Cole Stanley just posted a YouTube review. Big shout out to C Stan. Go check that out.
So yeah, I don't even know where to start. It really has been a successful year for you. I guess let me ask you this: did you ever get that washer and dryer?
Not yet,
no.
But we've got big moves coming in January.
Okay,
we should have our own washer and dryer.
You're leveling up.
double pane windows.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
all the fixings.
how about those Erewhon smoothies? Are you buying one anytime you want now?
No, not yet. Not yet. But I drive by and I'm like, one day. On paper, I think I could afford those now.
Yeah, that's good.
But in real life, we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So I think it was October last year. The artist tee, I'm wearing one today. By the way, this is the washed olive. This is a compliment getter, man. I had this on last weekend, and it apparently makes my eyes pop.
Really?
Yeah. It makes them look real green. So I was getting compliments on this. Now it was my mom giving me the compliment, but
looks great on you.
But still, it's fire.
Thanksgiving hit.
The artist tee. You've iterated on that a couple of different times with multiple colors. You did the heavyweight one, and then there were the mesh shorts, which I don't think they were probably on the radar when you were on last year. But I don't even think it was something that we mentioned. Was that something that kind of like, were those kind of bubbling in your brain, and did that happen quicker than some of the other things that you've been working on and developing? Yeah,
the mesh shorts were the quickest product that we took from ideation to launch. So in October we hadn't begun working on them yet. I think they were kind of a thought. A lot of customers had reached out to us with interest in mesh shorts and making mesh shorts. And we got the first pattern Christmas Eve. I remember it because I was outside our pattern maker, one of our pattern makers who did those in downtown. And it was like a ghost town. It was like 3 p.m. On Christmas Eve. And we got the first pattern, and it sat on my couch for a couple months, I think, before we had materials to actually make them. But it was like 7 months, I think, from when that happened to when they launched. So it was on our mind and on the development list, but we hadn't begun working on it.
Yeah. And 7 months is, I mean, like from concept ideation to having them on the website. That's relatively quick, wouldn't you? Like, especially as you announced the denim last year in October, and that's still essentially that's still in the works, right?
Yeah, the denim patterns are set. There's been a few setbacks in that, kind of logistic things where we had the factory lined up and they had difficulties where they lost their factory, and trying to pivot. But the patterns have been set for a minute. The 0x0s, the fits are in, but now it's dialing. Denim's like a whole different animal. I don't know how much you guys work with it.
Not at all. And it's something that we at Howler have talked about wanting to get into, but we feel like we need like a guide. Like what we've talked about is honestly trying to like collaborate with somebody that knows denim, like a brand that already is doing it, because it's such a difficult kind of beast to tackle on your own. And we do a lot of development and production overseas, and there are spots over there that know what they're doing, but really it's like, I feel like if you're starting from scratch, US is, and specifically California is kind of the spot where you want to be, to get the ball rolling on doing denim.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be here. We're fortunate to have an entirely local supply chain. The denim's Japanese, but to be able to work with our suppliers and team face to face helps a lot. But in the denim, the 0x0 patterns are set, and then you have to develop an individual pattern for each wash. And it's more than just running a shrink blanket and saying, okay, this is shrinking 4% in the length, 5% in the width, apply that. Then you run that sample and you have to circle back and then adjust it individually at each point. Each roll has different shrinkage. And for us, who is a company that's so spec driven, it's been a lot to work with, and I'm in the same shoes that you're talking about at Howler, where you guys are working with it, where, I don't come from a company or a design team. So this is all new to me.
Right.
And I'm fortunate to have a lot of mentors and people who work for us who know what they're doing and are experts in this. But it's a lot to get to the final product, especially at the level we want it to be at.
Yeah. Just like as a quick aside in that realm, like any young people that like want to do the fashion thing, like tech design, that seems to be one of the hardest spots to fill. And just like that's an expertise that like not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
The being able to like build out those patterns and know how to grade and spec and how fabrics torque and like the graining and just like that, the whole like the technical aspect of dealing with the way things are sized. That's such a skill set to have. And you know, we've got companies, we've got some brands moving to Austin, you know, like Chubby's is here now, Huckberry is here now, among others that were already here, like Outdoor Voices and Howler. And like, you know, there are open positions. I'll just put it that way. You know what I mean? Like
on most of those teams.
Yeah.
I think you're definitely right. It's, you know, our tech designer is my first mentor, who also teaches at FITM, or used to teach at FITM. Now I think she's too busy in her role at Honest. She's lead designer at Honest, Jessica Alba's company.
Oh, nice.
But you're definitely right. It's a very hard position to find. I think part of that is the nature of the position. You know, most people who go into fashion and design are much more creative kind of types.
Yes.
And you're asking them to be very analytical, very detail oriented. And, you know, even we're fortunate now that like our team that we work with on the product side, they all understand how we like to work, and that we're very spec driven and we're very specific in everything from fabric weights to, you know, torque, shrinkage, specs. And, you know, we try to work with a very low tolerance in manufacturing.
Right.
But those are all things that are very hard to get people on the same page with.
Yeah. So with something like the mesh shorts, which happen relatively quickly, like how many prototypes, fit samples do you go through to dial in a product perfectly like that?
A lot. I think there were 9 total. I think there were 9 prototypes. There were a ton of fittings. We even circled back.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's honestly like it's pretty impressive that you were able to do 9. You know, that's like and I do credit that a lot to your domestic supply chain, like you mentioned, where you're not like dealing with that. You know, we talked a little bit off mic about just the FedExing of things back and forth, you know, constantly, which adds days and weeks to the timelines. So it's really nice to be able to do that, you know, in your backyard, basically. But I mean, yeah, that it's also not surprising to hear that number, because, you know, the mesh shorts were something that is obviously kind of like a trending item. A lot of brands are out there doing them. It feels very doubtful to me that anybody else did 9 versions of them, because the fit is so good on those. So.
I appreciate that. And those were the first item, you know, part of us being able to iterate that fast. Those were the first item that came from our small studio, which was a studio during COVID we set up to do products. Like all our new products, like most of our wovens are coming from there. You know, the flannels are coming from our small studio. The mesh shorts, which I know is a weft knit, not a woven, for all the real fabric nerds
the tech heads out there.
Yeah, DM Barrett about that. Those came from our small studio, so we were able to get samples back in like a day, 2 days. But you know, a lot of those samples were fabric tests. You know, one of the hardest things is when you're getting into something you've never done before is sourcing, and it's so hard. I don't think people outside the industry understand how hard it is to find good sources for things, because everything works so backwards. You can't really Google them. A lot of pages, it seems like the site, their website was built on GeoCities. Or so, you know, there's like a website counter in the bottom, and you're the 131st visitor.
Yeah, it's really it's interesting how kind of like opaque it all is.
Yeah,
you know, you really do have to. It is working backwards. It is like very secretive, You know, you got to kind of have you have to have some type of connection to get somebody to open a door for you, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feels like it's very difficult to just kind of, you know, it's not as easy as firing up Alibaba and just typing in like, you know, mesh, wide knit mesh.
No, not at all. And you're definitely right. You have to have like a referral. It's almost like a speakeasy or
right.
You know, sometimes it feels like a drug deal where they're like, not that I've ever done that or Barrett's ever done that for the feds listening. I've heard. So, you know, it's like you're like, hey, I'm Pat Allen from Uniform Los Angeles. I got your number from this guy. We're looking to do this. And even then they're like looking at you side eyes when you meet up. I don't know what they think we're going to do, but they're so suspicious until you do business with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you that you should take off the Boo Bear logo from your business card, but you wouldn't listen to me.
It's credibility, Barrett. It's credibility. But I was going to say to your question earlier, you know, we got to what we thought was the final fit sample of the mesh shorts pretty quick. I think it was like 4th sample or 5th sample, and we were ready to release it. And, you know, we have a thread in Style Forum. Shout out to the guys in Style Forum.
Yep.
We couldn't do this without you. I appreciate you. That's where I met you, Barrett. You know, last podcast we mentioned them, and my connection was glitching out so much that I didn't really hear what you said when you mentioned them. So I didn't get to give them the proper shout out. But we got within 4 or 5 samples, we got to what we thought was the final fit. And I think it had a 7-inch inseam and other things. And the overwhelming feedback we got was, this is not it.
Right.
So we had to go back to the drawing board, like decrease the inseam. And that's where a lot of those samples came from, was getting it right.
That's, I mean, it's pretty awesome to just for fans of the brand to hear a story like that, and really fans of any brand. I mean, we did talk a little bit about Style Forum last year, just about how there is that give and take, and about how it is like a pretty cool community to have, especially as you're building a brand. But it's just that's cool that like there was overwhelming or popular sentiment that's like, no, we actually think that they should probably be shorter. And the designer and the creator, like, you know, is kind of open-minded and humble enough to be like, all right, yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the awesome parts about Uniform, is that, you know, we feel like we have a voice in the development and the design a little bit. You know, speaking of, we talked about like how long it takes to kind of dial these things in, responding to feedback from customers and clients and fans. With the denim that we mentioned, am I correct that like you had to audible away from like the initial, what were going to be the initial 2 fits, and kind of scale that up to, like, instead of being a skinny and a slim, basically being like a slim and a straight?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, we started working on it, and again, this was something I knew nothing about earlier on. It was during COVID. We were full package with a supplier just for all of our knits, which, you know, it sounds like Howler kind of functions like that.
We do. Yeah.
Right?
We're full package as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And like within that, there's like somewhat less control. And, you know, we tried to go with them to do denim, and it just wasn't a fit.
Yep.
So the ideation of denim took a very long time, where I was learning a lot from the production side, and it was going to be a skinny, slim, sort of like the DO2, not that aggressively skinny.
Right.
But that was also what was happening, trending at the time.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the waves of streetwear changed very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the time we were coming, you know, to the table with a fit, everyone was, you know, it was the same thing where people were like, this is dead, which, you know, we could talk about that. I think there's always a place for a slim.
Totally.
Streetwear, especially like in Style Forum and among, you know, early adopters of trends or people who are passionate about trends, they get to things very quickly, you know, versus the mass adoption or laggards, you know, if you're talking about an adoption bell curve,
sure,
or whatever it's called.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you don't want to, like, I totally, I'm with you that there's always room for a slim, you know, fit, especially as it comes to to pants and jeans. But it's like you also don't want to kind of be building and building and building, and then you release this thing that you've been working on forever, and you feel like you're like at the tail end of that curve. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of like that is we don't deal with as much of that at Howler because we're not quite as like, you know, we're not a full on like fashion company, like a men's style company. We're place ourselves in this kind of outdoor world. A lot of our guys are more, you know, functional and technical. So the wins don't change quite as quickly as they do with menswear and streetwear. But yeah, that development time, you want it to be long so that you can get every detail and every fit right. But it's like the longer you take, the more risk you run of like, you know, having something fly out the door or having missing the opportunity essentially.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, that's sort of where we landed ourselves, you know, with the slim denim. It was very slim. And I think coming off initially designing tees for the brand, like way back, like 2014, 2015, everything was slim. I look back at pictures and I'm like, that looks like a baby tee on you, you know, by today's standards.
Yeah.
You can never win that thing. I mean,
no, you can't. I was thinking about this earlier this week, with the t-shirts specifically. I'm like, am I going to look back in like 5 years and be like, why were my t-shirts so big? But it you know, at least it's not. I don't know. There's. I hope that we're kind of playing within like an arena that is it's relatively narrow. You know, there's still a spectrum. There's still a range, but it's like feels like a pretty good one. You know, it's not like I think back to like tall tees, like 2002. Yeah. You know, that was like crazy. The t-shirt down to your knees. That was a whole. Prior to that, there weren't t-shirts down to your knees, you know?
Yeah, it was a very exaggerated silhouette.
Exactly. You know, we're with the boxy tees right now. We're just kind of referencing stuff that was already kind of popular in the 90s, essentially. So it's kind of a reiteration of something that was already popular. Was like you think about like a tall tee or like a Jinko denim. It was like those were, you know, extreme exaggerations of proportion, and those are the things that tend to like look funniest. I think you know, when you go down the future a little bit.
You know, I struggle most with denim with that, where you see like the wide leg denim. Me personally, I'm not saying it's straight or a little bit, you know, baggier denim. I'm talking about like very wide, sort of, you know, like what you see on the upper scope of what Acne's doing as far as silhouettes for very wide denim.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to like, I don't personally at this point in time find those very appealing.
I don't think so either. And I think that, you know, Acne is such an interesting brand to me because like I love so much of what they do. And at the same time, I feel like half their line is like super directional.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there are a lot of brands that kind of like play in both, you know. There's like it's like either APC or Ragabone, or it's like Rick Owens, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so I do feel like it's very Scandinavian though, because another brand, if I'm thinking about brands that are contemporaries of Acne that kind of do the same thing, it's like those other Swedish and Norwegian brands like Our Legacy or Sunflower or Seafer, which kind of do some wonky stuff that looks very runway, but it's also like, you know, some of it is pretty wearable as well.
What's your take as someone who, you know, is in this space as a designer and also very much as enthusiast on brands that sort of do both? You know, we're talking about Acne, on brands that offer, you know, a cut like I believe it's called the River, which is slim, and then they have, you know, those year cuts where it's like the 1996,
right?
Various years that I'm spacing right now. Do you feel like for the consumer that's confusing, or how do you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that I get the feeling that Acne thinks about their customer basically designs in their mind with the knowledge that anybody shopping at Acne is somebody that is an enthusiast and like understands like the spectrum of fits that may be popular like within the fashion world at any given moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just from everything from like their marketing to their studio photo shoots to their product shots, everything about it just like says like, you know, kind of a Zoolander-esque capital F fashion in a way. You know, like it's very Mugatu in that, in just like their ethos essentially.
Yeah.
And so I think that they just design, you know, kind of within the framework of like whoever's shopping Acne, especially on our website or in our stores, like understands this variety of this offering.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's almost more on the Mr. Porters and the Essences of the world to like pick and choose and craft a buy essentially, and then put that in front of maybe somebody who's like a step down from shopping in the Acne store.
Yeah.
To kind of like to say, you know, the river fit fits in with, you know, this tailored flannel and like this bomber jacket. Your 1991 fit is like, you know, we're pairing this with like the Vetmon hoodie and the Balenciaga tire boots or whatever it is.
Yeah. So it's much more curated to each fit.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's, yeah, it's a good question. They're pretty singular, I think, as in a brand though that does kind of dance between like the two sides a little bit.
Yeah, and I think there's like an irreverence to them.
Yep.
As a brand, you know, like they had those faces or the emojis. I don't know what they're calling them on so many things for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, when it's right, absolutely, and it's like I think about like the signature Acne item, and it's probably that like super chunky cuffed beanie.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like it's exaggerated in itself, and it's square in the middle of it is that the straight faced. I think they just call it the face collection. Yeah.
Faced.
So what's the? Can you give us an update on release for denim after our conversation about it?
Oh.
Or is it still TBD?
We're working as fast as we can right now. Like we were hoping before the end of the year to debut it. But it's probably going to be after the first of the year.
Yeah.
I hate to give like hard release dates.
Don't give hard release dates. Yeah. I'm not asking you for that. Just a little ballpark, you know?
Yeah, we do want to, you know, it's important to us. We're working to get back in the studio after every release with like e-com shoots so that people can understand more like how this looks on model. You know, to this day, I think there's one shot with an artist tee on a model.
Yeah.
And it's been out for a year and a half. I don't know how long it's been out, but things move so fast that we're fortunate in that regard, but it's something we would like to get back to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand you're in the studio with the sandpaper, you know, just hand distressing every pair of denim, right? So it's
100%.
It takes time.
Yeah, your mind's gonna explode when you see the what's it? The waffle. What are those called?
The honeycombs.
The honeycombs. The honeycombs.
The fades.
Denim's catching fades.
Yeah. I can't wait to do a beach wash in them.
That Austin beach wash.
Yeah. I'm just gonna run right into the lake. Thinking about these new items, the denim, the flannels, I wanted to ask you a little bit about like the mindset behind the business model that I'm not sure that you're doing purposely or is just kind of a byproduct of the success you're having. But you know, you think about the artist tee and the mesh shorts, which I think were kind of like the giant runaway successes of the past year. You're at supreme levels now. Like guys are building bots to make sure they cop the next colors of the artists and the mesh shorts. Are you happy with that? Like, is it the goal to sell out in minutes like that, or are you simply like unable? You're projecting, and then the growth is just like blowing it out of the water every time.
We're certainly not unhappy with it. You know, anytime you sell out that fast, you know, it's a great moment for the brand. But
totally,
it
feels awesome to
yeah. The first mesh short drop was completely surreal for us.
Yeah.
You know, because it was something, you know, when you work on something for so long the way we do, which is sort of like iterate on an item, and while there's a number that we're iterating on simultaneously, you're so close to it.
Yeah.
That by the time you put it out, you're like, I don't know, because you're so in the weeds. And like, I don't know if you guys get like this or how you feel about it, but in the end, we're going back and forth over like 1/4 of an inch to 3/8 of an inch on the back rise, you know, or like shifting the back pocket 1/4 of an inch. Like, you're so in the minutia of an article, or, you know, this color has a bit of like a reddish undertone. You get so in the minutia of it that you kind of can't see the big picture until you step away. And, you know, when we dropped the mesh shorts, I was like, well, they're good. They're really, really good. But I don't know. We'll see, you know, and my phone's on do not disturb like 24 hours a day, but especially on a drop, you know, because all the alerts for sales come to my phone and emails.
Sure.
And, you know, it was upside down, and I'm trying to get everything ready for the drop. And I think we posted early links in Style Forum for that one.
You did. Yeah.
Which we caught all sorts of flack about from everyone not in Style Forum, because by the time they dropped officially, they were sold out, or almost sold out, or sold out in sizes. But that was hugely surprising to me, because I knew I thought they were good, but you're so close to it. You're like, I don't know, man. Like, we'll see, you know. And anytime you put something that you've created out in the world, it's a vulnerable experience. You know, you want it to be well received. You hope it's well received, but like, you ultimately don't know until the market sees it. So to your question about are we like breeding false scarcity? Is that the business model? Or is this just a demand thing? It's wholly a demand thing. Like, we don't breed like false scarcity. It's not like our plan to be scarce or misleading or make demand look like it exists where it doesn't. There's a few things I think converging when you see that happening. One is we operate largely still under the lean startup business model, where we spend a lot of time trying our best to perfect things, which goes a little against that ideology. But we try so hard to perfect things and then put them out in the world and get feedback from them, you know. So we're not running it. The goal is not to run insane amount of units first. It's to put it out and get feedback, you know. But sometimes that feedback is overwhelmingly positive, and the market really wanted that, and then we try to respond to it by putting it out again. But by the time we put it out again, we're basing it on the demand that we felt last time and increasing the demand, which is now eclipsed that. So that's sort of where it's coming from. And, you know, like, from right now, one of our biggest problems is logistics, is finding spots in Los Angeles or Vernon or, you know, adjacent areas to hold all our products, production, pre-production, and things like that. So there is an element of us that needs to move product fairly quickly due to like size limitations.
Yeah.
But it's something we're trying our best to deal with. You know, because we want to bring new customers on. And I think new customers see something like the artist tee or the mesh shorts, and they're like, I'm going to get that. It drops Friday. I'll check in.
Yeah.
You know, Friday night, and by then it's gone.
Right. It's kind of like I don't want to speak for you, but I imagine that it's like this balancing act, right? Because it'd be great if I could tell somebody about this, the wash black artist tee, right? Like you basically couldn't have enough of those. You want to be able to tell somebody about it and have them go pick one up. But at the same time, it's like, it is, like you said, like it's not always beneficial, especially for a small company, to have stocks just sitting, especially if you don't have a place to put it.
Yeah. And that, that's the balance we're trying to, as we continue to acquire new customers to scale up, we need to do a better job of striking a balance of having stock and, projecting the right numbers so that we're not sitting on a ton of units that take a long time to move, so it is because, in fashion, I think one of the worst things you can do is and you see so many brands do it, is overproduce to where it essentially devalues the product.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So you've I think just based on the buzz that we see on the forum, you've got flannels and denim, which I think are really like kind of garnering what seem to be the same level of kind of fervor as the shorts and the artist tees do. Now I expect that those will be different animals because they're naturally higher priced items as well. But with the artist tee and the shorts, I think that you talk about how good it feels to like put something out and have the feedback be so positive and have the reception just be kind of overwhelming, like, and so good, right? Yeah. And it's kind of like validation that you nailed like a void in the market, right? That there was something missing that we weren't able to get how we wanted to get it, and you served it. So it's like, going forward with these kind of upcoming products that might do a similar thing, is there like pressure? You feel like the weight of it now to like get something right, to get something so perfect, have it be what everybody wants, and have it at like this approachable price level that you're kind of known for right now?
Yeah, I think it's definitely hard to balance those things. And there's more eyes than ever on the brand now, so we have more attention. I think I get so caught up in the day-to-day that I don't really think about that until we release. Providing value to our customer is the sole purpose of the brand. So, I'm obsessed with that. Our team is obsessed with that. Is how do we deliver the best product, not for this price point, but the best product, and offer it to our customers at an accessible price point. So there are pressures with those items, especially because the way that we're making them is very expensive. With the flannels and stuff, is they're made in Japan, and then to do the construction that we're doing, which is single needle construction on a essentially button-up t-shirt, is super expensive because the infrastructure is no longer in Los Angeles or the United States to do that. Most of that infrastructure has been moved to China or Asia or other places where you can do it much cheaper.
Right.
So to answer your question, I'm definitely, I do feel pressure to that point, but only because I want to make sure we nail it for our customers.
Yeah. Yeah. So no fear about the first time somebody accuses you of price inflation.
Not really. I guess it's a like with anything, I try to approach it as this will be a learning experience. Yeah, I'm sure the day will come, if it hasn't already. I don't know if you could hear that. It sounds like someone's bike's getting stolen.
No, I maybe just heard like the backing up of a truck, but I'm waiting for the cucaracha fruit man to come around like you did.
We got a couple more hours. Dude. Give me your order now, and we'll be first in line.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think that I'm so busy and wrapped up that, if we miss, then I always try to be accountable, and I try to build a team that's accountable.
Yeah.
And if we can do better, then certainly I want to address that and do better. So, I'm sure those accusations will come one day, and when they do, we'll deal with them. But until then, I have no fear of that happening.
Speaking of the growth and the team and just like acquiring customers, I was curious, and this relates to like the accessibility of your product as well. Have you had stores, local or national, like beating down your door to wholesale your product yet?
We do have stores. We've been sold in a few stores.
Is that right? Okay.
But essentially the stores kind of have the same product. I think a lot of stores don't know what to make of us because the brand is the business model is direct to consumer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, totally. No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you're able to do what you do because you're direct to consumer. I think is a valid assumption, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't preclude us from selling to stores, but I think a lot of times they don't know what to make of us because the margins aren't going to be there like they are for other brands.
Right.
And we're willing to sell to them if it's a good fit. And we feel like their customer would vibe with it. But it's hard for us to supply stores because we can't even supply our customers.
Yeah.
At this point. So there's been interest, there've been interest from big people as well, but it's trying to make the right choices for us as a brand that's not built to wholesale. How do we approach these things, because, when a large boutique or I guess department store approaches you or, starts to have interest in you, you kind of have to figure out what's that look like with those numbers. How do we strategically position to do this? Is this the best move? So It's something we're open to if it's the right fit, but it's not a priority for us.
Yeah, and it's a constantly changing landscape too, because it's just the wholesale. It's a lot like having investors that you're like suddenly somewhat beholden to, right? And I think about a brand like Aimé Leon Dore that clearly saw the pros of wholesaling their stuff for many seasons, and then 2 seasons or whatever it was ago was basically like, oh nope, this doesn't make sense anymore, and just pulled out of every single wholesale account that they had. And it was, and I imagine that it was a similar, almost like the reverse of what you were saying, where it's like they probably looked at their numbers, saw that they could move all of the product themselves, and were like, well, why would we give it to all these stores when we can move it all through our direct channel? Through our direct channels. So it's definitely right. It's just it's one of those things that has a lot of pros but also a lot of cons.
Yeah, and it adds a good amount. If you're essentially set up to wholesale, it adds a good amount to the retail cost of your item.
Yep.
And for us, we made a conscious choice. I felt that the best position for us to be in is the position we're in now, and I felt like this is the future of streetwear.
Yeah.
And it's hard to pivot and add a retail price to it, which adds a large margin to the cost, when the majority of our customers would not be seeing any benefit of it. And I think we would do very well in national boutiques, stores, etc. But we have to make that decision. Is this worth it given the extra price?
Yeah.
And I think the workaround for that is to, the goal is to open our own stores eventually when we're able to stabilize more and things change.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Pat, we're going to take a quick break to hear about your favorite sponsor. And then when we come back, we'll dive into some of this, the new goodies that you sent me to take a look at.
Perfect.
Today's podcast is brought to you by another rule breaker. We got Pat out here at Uniform. He's tearing down walls. He's breaking all the rules. He's bringing us the best product in the game. Well, the best wine in the game is also a sponsor of Club Cool. Wine is like fine art. It can be good, it can be bad, and every once in a while, it can be truly transcendent. Introducing The Prisoner Wine Company. Pat, you picked up a couple bottles of The Prisoner for yourself. I'm using my own code for holiday gifts out here. Guess who also loves Prisoner? My mom. So if you have a mom, you should also get them Prisoner. Trust me, they're going to love it. Here's what happened. Like 20 years ago, the Prisoner Wine Company decided to combine some of California's best and most unusual grape varieties to make a bold and complex blend, aka their namesake wine, the Prisoner Red Blend. I told a couple of personal anecdotes about times when when I've had the pleasure of experiencing the Prisoner, and I keep thinking of more. A couple of years ago, we were at a fantasy draft, our live fantasy draft, me and a bunch of my college friends, and we were at this this cool little divey bar in the middle of Central Texas. Mostly like margaritas and cheap beers, but they also had magnums of the Prisoner wine. Guess what we were ordering? Magnums of the Prisoner. I'm pretty sure you can find those on the website as well. It was a great evening. They can ship straight to you all of their rule bending blends. And so if you're, maybe you like something that's a little bit more specific, they have that as well. There's Prisoner Chardonnay, there's the Thorn Merlot, there's a Pinot Noir I saw on there. So they've got a little bit of something to suit everybody's taste. The wine is fantastic, and this is a great deal. Check this out. Go to theprisonerwine.com/CLBcool. So that's Club Cool, but you drop the U. theprisonerwine.com/CLBcool for 20% off plus shipping included on your first purchase. And by the way, you talk about the holidays, you talk about gift. This wine just looks awesome. The bottle is heavy. It's got artwork. The label was done by an artist named Francisco Goya. Pat, you think Francisco Goya will design some Club Cool merch for me?
I hope so.
Now that they're sponsoring, I can text Francisco, can't I?
Absolutely. I think you made it with the prisoner sponsorship.
It's a feather in my cap. I've been telling everybody that I can that guess who's sponsoring Club Cool? The freaking Prisoner. And so listeners, Club Cool listeners, the cool kids out there, y'all got to jump on this. Once again, go to theprisonerwine.com/CLBcool for 20% off plus shipping included on your first purchase. Get it in time for the holidays. This is the best deal that they have available. Get 20% off plus shipping included at theprisonerwine.com/CLBcool. Offer valid on first-time online orders only for U.S. residents of legal drinking age through December 31st, 2021. Other exclusions may apply. Please enjoy wines responsibly. Rebate requests from alcoholic beverage retailers, wholesalers, or anyone suspected of submitting fraudulent requests will not be honored or returned. Limit one offer per household, name, or address. For more information, contact customer service at theprisonerwinecompany.com. Please enjoy wines responsibly. All right, Pat. A few more things, and then I'll let you get back to it, and I'm gonna go home and drink some Prisoner.
Yeah, dude. I didn't know how much you wanted me to chime in, but it's legit my favorite wine.
Dude, I'm not joking. This Prisoner is an awesome wine that I've never popped open a bottle of Prisoner and not had somebody be like, "Damn, this is good."
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I rarely drink these days, maybe like once a year, but if someone had a bottle of Prisoner wine, I would absolutely.
You'd be indulging.
100%.
Yeah.
Just one glass probably, but I would absolutely. I mean, that's what gets me is the expensive champagne or the nice red wine.
Yeah.
And it's legit my favorite. Mine's supposed to come today. I was hoping I could run out and get it while you were.
Oh, that's some fast shipping too. Then if it's coming today,
you were pitching. Yeah, I was trying to check it, but I don't see. I need to switch phones. I have a new iPhone over there. I don't have time to deal with that right now.
All right, so next week is Thanksgiving. That means it's also Black Friday. Do you feel obligated to like participate in the whole Black Friday thing as the owner of a brand, in this day and age?
I think so. I think it's a good chance. Like we, as a brand, we don't do sales.
Right.
We're during COVID, we did one, and every Black Friday we do. So I think it's a good opportunity to give back to our customers and allow them to get a better deal on our stuff, the best deal that we're going to offer on our stuff.
Right.
So I like to do it. It's a good chance to give back. And
you always have such a positive outlook on everything, Pat. I try to get you to be negative and pessimistic about one thing, and I can't get you to.
I didn't catch the cues. Randy, rewind the tape.
So we've got that next Friday. any special product releasing? Anything in this box about to come out?
It is not.
Okay, so we gotta wait a little bit longer for that.
We're breaking with supply. And I know we talked about this pre-show, and you've touched on it on the pod before, but with supply chains the way they are and everything, our costs are going through the roof, which we're trying to manage. So we opted not to do a release this year on Black Friday, but we'll be offering a discount.
Okay, cool. So we talked a little bit about the flannels. I've got both of those here. I'm not sure. You told me that fit was not quite right on these things.
Yeah,
but the fabric and everything about them is feeling really cool. I wanted to hop on over here to two things. I've got what I believe is a French Terry artist tee.
That is correct. Yes. And
I've also got. Remind me what how heavy the long sleeve one is here, the white one.
That's 14 ounces.
14 ounces.
Those are both samples. That the white is not a finalized sample. The black is more or less finalized.
Okay. So we spoke to this a little bit last year. We talked about this this clamoring in streetwear, especially for stuff that's heavyweight, high ounce. Fear of God does the 32 ounce sweatpants, and John Elliott has done 26 ounce, and you're doing 22 and 24 ounce, and everybody's putting GSMs and ounces on there, and it's this is not going away. It's
so
much so that you've just now said, fuck it, we're doing a French Terry artist tee. I won't lie to you, Pat. I've never been a fan of short sleeve sweatshirts, which is what I thought this was when I pulled it out. And it sort of is, but it's also not. And I tried it on, and it's actually pretty dope.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. I'm with you. I would in the past would never be like, I'm going to buy a short sleeve sweatshirt tee.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to call it that. But that was a fabric we developed that's wider. I believe it's 17 ounces. I should have looked at my notes, 18 ounces, but it's on a wider fabric. And felt like the properties that it exhibited were perfect for essentially like a heavyweight tee.
Yeah. That's I appreciate it because it's like almost meta at this point with the way that the heavyweight thing is going. Like this is like it's almost like self-referential that it's such it will be such a heavy tee, but I think it's. I like that you kept the details on it very much a tee, very much a t-shirt. You didn't do like the V stitching at the neck or anything like that. It's not ribbed. It doesn't have like a ribbed hem or anything like that. So it very much fits like a boxy tee. It's just cut from French Terry. And it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, feedback on that's been from the fit models has been overwhelmingly positive. And it looks really good because it is a little heavier. It gives very clean lines.
Right.
And it drapes less than.
Yeah, it's got some structure to it.
Yeah, than the original artist tee. So it looks very clean when you're wearing it.
Yeah.
And I think from afar you wouldn't say, hey, that guy's wearing a sweatshirt tee.
Right. Yep. No, I don't think so either. Okay, so then the 14 ounce. What is this? Just regular? Is this just 100% cotton? You've just gone up to 14 ounce in it?
Yeah, that's 100% cotton in a wider I always get mixed up how to say this, in a lower thread count. It basically in a thicker thread. Okay. So the thread is super thick. That is a sample. That's not the finalized product, but essentially it's like a chunky knit that we developed. Sort of the idea kind of came from like a thrift store tee that you would pull from like the 80s. Or, maybe we had growing up in middle school, high school.
Yeah.
And just love the idea. It's a brand new silhouette.
Okay.
Name still TBD because that's how we do it around here. But it's a brand new silhouette. It's sort of a hybrid between the vintage tee and the artist tee that we felt complements that fabric the best. But I'm super excited about that one. Those are in production now.
Cool.
They look amazing with the nylon shorts that are on the way that you have the first sample of.
So tell me how these nylons, how do these compare to the mesh short as far as like, kind of intention and fit? Are they similar? Are they kind of that shorter inseam?
Yeah, they're shorter inseam. So those, what you have is the first sample. Wanted to make something that was, just to add to the DNA. They're not the same fit as the mesh shorts, but they are a little boxier, a little more streetwear oriented, not oversized, not exaggerated in their boxiness.
Right.
But, wanted to build something that paired with a 14-ounce tee that was easy, breezy. And when I felt, the fabric when we were shopping around to get into nylons, it was just something that I was really excited about making. I'm so excited about how the product's turning out. And we talked last year about designing in a couple of different silhouettes, and that would be the boxier nylon shorts. We are working on a more fitted pair of nylon shorts for, the guy who wants to wear like the classic cruise,
right,
and a little bit slimmer silhouettes.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that's how you've been rolling with kind of the, offering both essentially, and letting the consumer kind of pick which direction they want to go with, and kind of mixing and matching, or kind of sticking with one or the other. So it'll be cool to see to have options there as well. But yeah, the nylon stuff is big. The elastic waist shorts obviously not going anywhere. It's something that that we've been moving towards at Howler, having a few options of stuff like that as well. So it's even trickling down into the outdoor space. Hats. I saw a hat posted on your Instagram.
Yeah, hats. We have an elevated trucker in the works. We're trying to get the fit dialed in perfectly.
Yeah.
The idea behind that was, my hair is perpetually unruly. You have great locks, Barrett, so you don't know the struggle. But us curly girls, it's just, you never know waking up. I always have to run to meetings, and I've always wanted a trucker hat that I love the fit of, and have never been able to really find it.
Yeah.
And really felt like it complements everything that's coming out. So it's something like I was very excited about. And for the past few months, I've just been like obsessed with this idea, and, trying out all different truckers. And from that, just like wanting to build our own. So we had we made partnerships with a hat maker here who is very, very, does very well. And started making moves into that. So it's still in development, but it's coming.
Okay, cool. I one other kind of product category I wanted to pick your brain on. I think that as part of the denim, you've got a trucker jacket, a denim jacket coming out.
That is correct.
That's
yes.
still okay. As far as moving further into outerwear, I'm sure that it's something you want to do. And I think last year you kind of mentioned like wanting to do maybe like a top coat, something like that, tailoring. I wanted to see if that was still kind of like the direction that you would head in first. So I've got some options here. Like what do you think's kind of calling your name, calling the brand? You think it's still that kind of top coat, overcoat tailoring look? Would it be something more technical, maybe down, functional, that type of thing? Or have you thought about leather at all? Which one of those is like an area you want to go to? Or you can say all of them.
Yeah, I would be interested. Honestly, I'm interested in all of those,
yeah,
in different aspects. I think where we'll move first is probably leather.
Mm-hmm.
Just because sourcing wool is going to be a longer lead time to where we're already making moves in that direction. So we already have the leather supplier.
Okay.
We've been shopping, to make a couple different silhouettes of leather jackets. I would absolutely love to make a car coat, or an overcoat, a top coat. So it's still on the longer term timeline. And, I love down vests. I want to make a down vest. I want to make a down coat,
yeah,
and have it be very clean, have the silhouette be very nice, so it complements everything. So all of those, but I think we'll probably debut leather first, just because we've already made inroads to where with the wool, we'd probably have to go back to we really focus on like the supply, the fabric and the supply side.
Okay. Can you make me a pair of leather pants, Pat?
100%. What silhouette are you thinking?
Like that's something where I feel like I want, you know, just a classic slim.
Do you have any leather pants?
We talked about this on the podcast a few weeks ago. I recently acquired a pair of vegan leather pants.
Okay.
I'm unsure on them as of yet, but I also haven't had an opportunity to really you know, flex them out.
Are they black? What? They're slim, black.
They're like I think the colorway is called like a coffee brown, so it's a really deep brown. And they're more of like I'd call it a straight leg. It's a slim straight. But like, but as far as like a wardrobe staple, what I have always just kind of like wanted is like, you know, like black leather, slim straight, nothing crazy skinny, like, you know, I don't want it to be a jogger or anything like that, but looks good with boots and Jordan 1s basically.
I'd love to see some fits, Barrett. I want to see just the try on while you're working up the confidence to pull the trigger on date night or that concert.
Yeah, I'll drop one in for you.
Yeah, I would love to see it. I mean, it's not something that initially I'm super, just because I tend to design from my perspective.
You need to be wearing more leather pants then, Pat. That just needs to be your, you know, you going around to all these meetings. They're looking at you. They're giving you the side eye. They're not sure if they want to let you into the nylon factory. Well, guess who they're letting in? The guy wearing leather pants. That guy.
100%. That guy gets in everywhere.
He does.
I don't know. It's something after seeing your fits, I may reconsider.
Okay.
Completely.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna sell you. I'm gonna sell you on it.
All right, I'm open to. I always try to be open-minded about everything.
All right, man. That's all I have for you. And anything else that you needed to talk about? We needed to cover on the new product here. There's so much of it. I can't. I mean, I know you're like, you're dealing with the logistics and the growth and all of that. I can't wait till we get like a few things dropping at once, you know, so I can get a whole ass fit going, whole ass kit in one drop.
We're hoping that's the next drop for holiday.
Okay.
That we'll be able to do that. We're trying to get the 14-ounce tees out with, you know, we didn't talk about it, but you mentioned it, but we have 27-ounce French Terry that's our development.
Yep. Half zip coming, right? That's exciting.
Yeah, we got the half zip. We have an oversized hoodie. We have a new sweatpants silhouette that's boxier, baggier, a little looser than anything we have. Super excited about all those. They look great together. Down the road, there's going to be a 27-ounce short silhouette.
Okay. We
just are still working on getting it dialed in so the silhouettes make sense. But super excited about that. Hope to have those soon. And, you know, to your point, the last thing I'll say is, you know, we always try to approach weight as like a functional thing, like making the weight so it doesn't feel, it does, you know, like with heavyweight artist tee, like, bringing weight in to where it's functional, and our guys love it because they, you know, it feels sturdy and quality, and I think guys generally gravitate towards weightier things. Yeah,
I mean they certainly right now that's definitely like what, you know, just what feels good in the hand, and it's just a reflection, I think, of what we're looking for right now, which is that kind of like, we want to feel quality, we want to feel durability, and then it just fits with where other things are going as well, with the slightly looser pant silhouettes and oversized hoodies and all of that. So
yeah, but other than that, man, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you to the Club Cool community. Shout out Style Forum.
Yeah.
Phil Bataya.
Shout out Phil.
We miss you. I'm going to pour out half my prisoner wine that's arriving today for you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Pat. Really nice of you to lend us your time here this afternoon. And yeah, thanks to our sponsor today, the Prisoner Wine Company. Go check them out. Support the podcast. And we'll be back soon. We'll be back next week, I hope. Pat, thank you once again. Thank you to everybody listening. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.